Welcome, Lee here from Play Guitar Academy, and today is the third video in my blues mastery series. This is called How to Create Emotion with Blues Vibrato. But before we get started, to get the most out of these lessons, make sure to download my free email course, Blues Solo Breakthrough. It's 6 steps to confident killer solos. It's packed with tips and strategies to help you play with confidence and make every note count. Why is vibrato so important in the blues? Well, it mimics the human voice. It adds an expressiveness to your playing. When a singer sings a certain note, you start to hear that the pitch starts to waver. It goes up a little sharp and down a little flat and then returns to the center pitch at some point. It's like it's surrounding the pitch. It's almost like a chorus pedal, right? So we've all heard that and it sounds pleasing to us. We are programmed to respond to the voice. And when we have just single notes, we don't have any words that we're trying to get across. Vibrato can really turn just a regular couple of notes into something very, very emotional. So when we talk about what makes vibrato smooth and expressive, the most important thing is knowing the different types of vibrato, how to use them. The number one that's mostly used, some people call it wrist vibrato. I just think of it as normal vibrato, is when you fret a note and you shake your hand back and forth so it's hinged at the wrist. And what it does is it pushes the string back and forth over the fret. And so as it goes up and back, it goes a little bit sharp and then back to pitch, a little bit sharp and back to pitch. This is the one you hear of the most. I play it all the time. It's very expressive and is very easy to do. Now, what you can do is you can do it narrow or wide. Both of them give a different sound as well, too. The next type of vibrato you might see, people call it finger vibrato. I think of it more as classical technique vibrato, where you'll see someone put their finger on a fret and they will actually move the finger up and down the string in the area of the fret, in between the two frets. And sometimes you'll see people push down pretty hard and rock their finger across there, too. And it gives a very gentle vibrato. And also you'll see sometimes people will lift their thumb off of the neck. Most of the times with these vibratos, you'll see the thumb is wrapped around the neck. If you see the thumb lifted off, usually it's some sort of finger vibrato. And that gives a little bit more freedom to the finger to move up and down the fret or to rock across the fret. And then the other one I see a lot is, I think of it as a Clapton vibrato, but it's more like it slips across the string. And that's by shaking the actual neck of the guitar. So when you move the neck of the guitar up and down, but keep your finger on the fret, it slides across the fret. So it gives a smoother kind of sound. And I really like that. And sometimes I'll combine all three of these. I'll combine finger, wrist, and slide type. So how do you get more use out of these? Well, you can take these 3 styles and then vary the width and the speed of the vibrato. So we did a little bit of this before, but let's go over here to the 7th fret on the E string. We'll do some finger vibrato, but I'm going to go very fast. It's not very wide, but the speed of it conveys a certain sound. So let's switch to wrist vibrato. Instead of increasing the speed, I'll increase how far away from the original note we go. What if we sped that up? A very fast, wide vibrato. It's almost jarring. It gets your attention, doesn't it? Or the slip vibrato. So you can move the guitar quickly or slowly, but as it slides, it has that. It's hard to keep a narrow vibrato when you're doing that because the string wants to slip really far across the thing. It's much easier to do a wide vibrato. So how do you practice these? Well, here's some examples to help. Let's take a look at example number 1. These are all going to be in the key of E. I'm using E minor pentatonic pattern 4 at the 7th fret. And what we're going to do is we're going to try some different vibratos for different situations. Number 1 is going to be wrist and narrow. What I'm going to do is use a narrow vibrato, not too shocking, but just enough to accent certain notes over a lick. If you see this, we have a lick that's 2 triplets. First one is 7th fret. This is B on the high E string, and I have a wrist, something where we're going off of the wrist in a very narrow way. and it's the first note of a triplet. So we have 7 on the E, 10 on the B, 8 on the B. 1, 2, 3. So the very first note is accented with the vibrato. On the next triplet, we're going to start on the 10th fret of the B string, give that the vibrato, and then continue with the triplets, 8th fret on B, 9th fret on the G string. And then we'll end this with a half note with a narrow wrist vibrato on the 9th fret of the G string. So all together. In our next example, we're going to be using a slip style. That's the one where you shake the neck of the guitar and use a nice wide vibrato with this. We're going to start in pattern 4 again. Start at the 9th fret on the G string, 9, and then 8th fret on the B, 10 on the B. So that's a triplet with no vibrato. And then we're going to bend the 10th fret in 2 sets of triplets. And what we do is we bend up full the first time on the 10, and then hit it twice as it's already been bent. And then we do it again. So all together. So far, no vibrato, but now we're going to go back to the 10th fret. We're going to shake the neck of the guitar evenly to the beat of the music. So when I play that rhythm, it gives it almost a chorus pedal sound. Finally, we end going from the 8th fret on the B string to the 9th fret on the G string in a nice slip style wide vibrato. And finally, in example 3, we're going to take a small blues lick, but we're going to make it sound a little bit softer, a little bit prettier, a little bit more dramatic. You see here, it starts off with 16th notes on beat 4, and that's 10, 8, 10 all on the B string, and then 7 on the high E string. Now, when we get to the next note, the first beat of the next measure, we're going to the 8th fret, and I'm going to use a finger style, a classical style vibrato. Just moving my finger up and down the area between the 2 frets. It gives a very narrow and gentle sound. And then I'm going to finish this off with 7th fret on the G string, and then 9th fret on the G string. And this is going to have another example of finger narrow vibrato. Vibrato is what gives your solos a voice. If you master it, you'll connect with your listeners in a whole new way. If you found this helpful, please like and subscribe for more blues tips in this series. And don't forget to grab my free email course. It's Blues Solos Breakthrough 6 Steps to Confident Killer Solos. Thanks for playing along today. And thanks to all of our Academy members over at playguitaracademy.com who are tearing into the tab and the guitar profiles from this lesson right now. And as always, let me know what you think in the comments. Have a great practice, and I'll see you in the next lick video.